him, I tell him face to face, I've said it on the show, he went too far left for me often. But it is encouraging to see that in at least 3 places I can think of, he has moved it back to the center, but he's got a long way to go.
He wants them to wake up before it's too late. Since losing last November, several comeback attempts have been made by the DNC. However, according to Ma, these attempts are weak and also a repeat of some of the same moves that brought them down in the first place. In an interview with Stephen A. Smith, he is on record directly attacking his very own party, the DNC, for refusing to face reality. Now, there is a lot to unpack here, so let's jump in.
It's a ghost brand. You know what a ghost brand is? It's like Sears or, General Electric. It's still a company, Abercrombie and Fitch, but they've really fallen on hard times.
Yeah.
But they've been around for a long time. So there is value in, it's an asset, right? Because there are still people who know of the company, and if you could have somebody take it over, who's not sentimental about that company and relaunch it, rebrand it. But it would have to be somebody who is unapologetic about calling them out. People have lost faith in the Democratic Party.
Ma says the DNC has become a shadow of its former self, a once vibrant party that stood for the poor, working class, and marginalized in society. It once represented fairness and opportunity. Today, he says, it's nearly unrecognizable, an ideological battleground where radical belief systems vie for dominance. What was at one time intended to unite has devolved into a space defined by moral superiority and performative virtue signaling. What makes Ma's critique all the more powerful, however, is that he does not stand alone in his observations. Even prominent Democrats, such as Gavin Newsom himself, have acknowledged that the party has grown toxic and must undergo serious reform if it hopes to restore credibility and reconnect with ordinary Americans who feel alienated by its new direction.
One I hear who doesn't look like he cares what the other Democrats will say about it.
I don't care.
And,
I really don't.
Right,
I
know.
don't give a damn what they say. I really don't.
I know. And it's somebody, I don't either. I'm right where you are. We're very close on all these things. And I think somebody with that kind of abandon is the only person who is going to win back former Democratic voters.
3 Ma believes that the DNC needs new, energetic leadership personalities able to command the loyalty and authority that Trump personifies for the GOP. According to him, the party leaders are bereft of charisma, conviction, and any sense of connectivity with ordinary people. They are too mired in political correctness and renditions of wokeness to understand what Americans will fight for today: solutions, not slogans. As Ma views things, such an obsession with identity politics and virtue signaling has cost Democrats millions of moderates and working-class people who were once the backbone of their party. Unless Democrats can find a leader who speaks to people's frustration, unites them, and reigns in ideological extremes, Ma warns they'll continue losing ground to a GOP that, whether one likes it or not, has made emotional and cultural influence into an art.
California Governor Gavin Newsom, did you not?
I'd love him as a candidate, yes. I mean, you're right. He's not exactly what I'm describing now.
Right.
I think he'd be a great candidate. He has shown in recent months the ability also to move to the center. He would have to do it a lot more. But as a candidate, he looks great. Great speaker, very forceful, can be mean, which is really important, and he can do it. He also has the backing, or certainly should, of where the energy is in the Democratic Party, the far left, because, he's been out front on a lot of very liberal issues, which I think is great. Gay marriage here in California and stuff like that, pollution, all sorts of stuff that...
Notice how Maher doesn't utter a word about a single notable achievement by Gavin Newsom, and that says it all. Even Maher, for a long time, an avowed friend of the California governor, struggles to name a single accomplishment since Newsom has been in office. If anything, Maher seems subtly to acknowledge that Newsom has strong support among the far left. In other words, Newsom has decisively allied himself with the woke wing of the party, a description with which Maher explicitly takes issue. It's complicated. If even Maher, one of the few liberal commentators willing to defend Democrats, squirms at the prospect of a Newsom presidential campaign, that points to a more basic estrangement. Maher seems to be indicating that the DNC can't achieve its remake or reconcile itself with mainstream America by resting its hopes on leaders who personify what's driving voters away, and certainly not on Newsom's version of politics.
Does have a long trail to lose the baggage of governor of the most liberal state in the country. And you know, I tell him face to face, I've said it on the show, he went too far left for me often. But it is encouraging to see that in at least 3 places I can think of, he has moved it back to the center, but he's got a long way to go if he wants to.
Maher has finally come to terms with something many have long suspected. Gavin Newsom has drifted too far to the left and can no longer be trusted to lead the country responsibly. Remarkably, it is an admission coming from a person who once championed Newsom as a rising star within the Democratic Party. I remember one episode of Real Time with Bill Maher when Maher confronted Newsom regarding California's controversial policy requiring large department stores to include gender-neutral toy sections. Instead of giving a clear, reasoned explanation, Newsom responded with a jumble of buzzwords and political cliches, what Maher jokingly described as word salad delivered with accord hand gestures and a practiced smile. That exchange perfectly encapsulated Maher's growing frustration. Too many Democratic leaders seem more concerned with appeasing progressive activists than tackling the real issues facing ordinary Americans. To him, that isn't leadership hit.